What's going on, people? Welcome back to Live Palace News. I'm joined by T here to discuss all the latest Palace stuff, and there's a lot to talk about today. As you can see from the title, Olise rumors have already started. There's manager update. There's updates on Wilf's latest contract situation and more transfer rumors. As always, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to not miss out on future Palace videos. T, how you doing?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. You're looking fresh once again. Every time like we don't speak for a day or two, you just seem like you freshen yourselves up and then come back to business, man. You're always on fine form.
I mean, it's just how it is, man. Every time the camera's on, you gotta be ready. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Look at me. My barber's on holiday. I can't even sort myself out.
Hey, that's the worst time,
man.
It's the worst time. I saw a video the other day where the guy was like, "Nah, I don't like my barber taking holidays. What's wrong with you, man? I need my haircut."
Exactly. Barber shouldn't take holiday. Like, look at me now, man. Look at me now. Look, we'll freshen ourselves up towards the end of the season, and maybe next week, anyways, when my barber decides to cut short of his holiday to sort me out. But until then, business is normal. And trust me, with Palace, things ain't slowing down. They're even going the opposite direction. Things are accelerating. There's a lot to talk about. And let's start off with the first bit of news. But before we actually do, if you have any questions, send them in throughout the show in the live comment section and leave down your comments in the comment section down below if you're watching on replay. Let's start off with the person in the title, and that is Michael Olise. There's multiple reports coming out today suggesting that Arsenal are interested in signing the Palace winger Olise, and that is coming from Football Transfer. So T, Olise rumors are already starting. But for me, I don't like it. The reason why I don't like it is not because there's Olise being linked with Arsenal, but the way Arsenal fans are talking about Olise as a backup option to Saka, that just sounds ridiculous to me.
I mean, it does sound ridiculous, but I mean, the way I see it, if Olise was to go to one of those bigger clubs like that, I think that's kind of probably where they see him. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he walks into some starting 11s just because of, certain aspects, but like, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't expect him to just go to a Man City or an Arsenal or certain places and just walk into the starting 11. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even to say that, he's not as good as Bukayo Saka or that, he's better than him. I just think it's just the fact that, when you go out and you get a young player whose game is still developing, it's still incomplete in a lot of areas. I mean, I don't know if he just walks into a top side like that, to be honest.
No, but I think it's disrespectful, man. I honestly think it's disrespectful the way that Saka's been mentioned and Olise is his backup option. First of all, I'm not saying Olise is better than Saka, but Olise ain't no bum as well to be a backup option. He's here. He's delivering in the Premier League as it is. And if he joins a top club with top players around him, he's going to get more goals and assists. So for me, this Olise as a backup option, Saka, makes no sense. And by the way, if we were to sell Olise, I said it in the match preview, make sure to check it out after this show. I said it then as well. Olise, the worst case scenario of Olise saying, I'm not turning up to training, I'm not coming to Palace, 40 to 50 million pound is the worst case scenario. Right now, Olise is worth around 80 million pound. And if you're telling me that Arsenal are willing to spend around 80 million pound for a backup option to Saka, then I don't know what you're smoking, because that's not going to happen. And Olise shouldn't be a backup option at another Premier League club. I don't care if it's a top Premier League club or not. He has so much potential and so much talent to be unleashed that hasn't been unleashed yet. And for me, I'd rather stay at Palace, or if Arsenal do want him, go on, spend 80 to 90 million pound on a backup option.
I'm about to say, I tell you right now, if Arsenal was to drop $80 million on Michael Olise, I could give a damn if they start him or not. We got $80 million. 80 million pounds.
We get a body, we're laughing. But then again, that's the thing. Like, his potential hasn't been even reached. He hasn't reached any bit of his
team. And that's why that number is so high. That's why that number is so high. That's why that number should be so high, because he's, like you said, he's performing in the Premier League right now. So it's not a question of, can he perform at the highest level? No, he's performing at the highest level. He's showing you that he can do that. You know what I'm saying? I think when you're talking about that $30, $40 million level for a guy to come to a Premier League team, a lot of times that's the super talented young kid from a lesser league. And the question on that kid is, hey, can he perform in the Premier League? That's not the case with Michael Olise. He's doing it. He can do it.
He's doing it. And trust
It's
me,
money.
us as fans sometimes sleep on him. You know, he's like 2 assists away from Saka
From Saka
in the Premier League this season.
He's 2 away.
I know he got 3 against Leeds, but you know, despite that, you know, it's been a frustrating season for us. We've been talking about lack of goals from even open play, and he's still 2 behind. Imagine if we have, you know, a manager that, you know, can get the best out of these players. Lise could easily surpass Saka in terms of assists this season if everything was clicking like it was last season. Easily. The fact that he's got 8 already, 2 behind Saka, he's got 10 in a Palace side that's been struggling all season long, speaks levels to his actual attributes. But the thing is, you know, we have struggled as a team, which of course is gonna go on Olise as well in terms of assists and stuff. But he's having a low key, he's having a great season that we've even slept on him whilst he's having it. You know, he's been one of the better sides in terms of productions, better players in terms of productions this season, in a season that's, as I said, that's annoying.
Yep, exactly. And it's just like you said, man. I think you have to, like, you got to give credit to a guy that's doing what he's doing, given the situation that we have at the club right now. He's playing very well. He's extremely talented, man. And for me, it's like, if you're doing this at the highest level, like you said, only being short of someone at the top of the assist list by 2, it's like, if you're gonna buy him, man, y'all got to come with the money. 40 ain't enough. I mean, we talking about guys trying to go out and get guys like Caicedo for 70, 80 million. You know what I mean? And I believe if we're talking levels to things, I got Olise up there with his position group, the same way that they probably have Caicedo up there with his position group. Like, he's that quality. So it's like, you know, come with the bread.
There's a lot to talk about, so we'll move on from Olise. But before we do, how much do you think is actually worth to Palace right now?
80 million. 80 million.
Interesting. Let us know what you guys think in the conversation as well. Do you think Olise is worth 80? I've seen 100 million.
Man, Jack Grealish went for 100 million. Jack Grealish went for $100 million, bro. Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
The only reason why he went for 100 was because he's from England. That's it. Let's keep it a buck. He only went for 100 million because he's from England.
That's crazy. Like £100 million. Look, there's another question. I'm going to quickly mention it. Let's not speak about it right now because we have to move on to other players and other. Oh, by the way, towards the end of the show, there's manager update as well. 2 big manager updates. We'll mention that as well. So stay tuned for that. But quickly about Olise, about Eze, about all these players that we could potentially sell on for higher value. Right now, Brighton do it and it works out well for them, right? Because they bring in good replacements. But right now, without sounding too negative, there's a big question mark on whether we can do it. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we've already seen it. You know, players have left and we haven't replaced them. And that's why we're talking about, you know, this season, we haven't replaced certain players like Wan-Bissaka from ages ago, Conor Gallagher, we didn't replace him. So, you know, players have already left. Maybe not the likes of Eze's and Olise's, and we haven't replaced them. So I don't think it's as straightforward as selling for 80 million to 100 million pound and everything's going to be great because we can spend that and bring in better and better and better. Right now, based on a recent history, I don't think that's been the case. Even though our recruitment to bring in Olise has been good, the replacement side of things hasn't been ideal yet. Maybe it's a case of we don't have enough to spend that money, and maybe if we do sell the likes of Olise, we can easily replace them because the funds will be available. But that question mark, but that's one thing that we'll see once it happens, if it does happen, if these players do leave. But let's move on to the second.
If we get rid of Olise, man, that's the opportunity for your boy Jazz to come in.
Exactly. Have you seen it? People are saying he's doing well only in League One. Why are we hyping up? Why are we hyping him up so much? What do you think about that?
I mean, you're supposed to hype him up.
The
thing about it is, man, you're supposed to hype him up. He plays for your team, man. You're supposed to be happy for him. You're supposed to want the best for him. I mean, he's performing at a high level. You're supposed to hype him up as a fan of the club, man. If you don't, you stupid. You know what I mean? Now, Now I don't know. Like now, to that being said, I don't know if he's going to be a Premier League superstar. We don't know that. Honestly, we didn't know that with Olise
Well,
when he
AJ
came in
say,
from the
well, AJ's been
championship.
saying it. AJ's been saying it. He's saying he's going to be a superstar. So AJ
Yeah,
thinks that.
I'm saying, but like, yeah, I mean, and rightfully so. AJ's entitled to that, and I don't fault him at all. That's what you're supposed to think for the guys that's in your program. That's what you're supposed to. That's how you're supposed to feel as a fan of your club. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. I mean, when we spent $8 million on Olise, we weren't sure if he was going to be able to pan out in the Premier League because we talked about how physical it was and his inability to defend, and all those things. We talked about all that stuff, and look where we are now. We talking about Arsenal wanting to buy him. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things, man. If you believe in your players, you believe in your guys. So
yeah, 100%. Let's talk about another player that we've had a lot of belief in him over the years. He's literally kept us up himself, and that is Sir Wilfried Zaha. So a quick update on him. There was reports coming out from Mercato about the latest about Zaha's contract situation. So this is how it goes. Saudi clubs want Zaha, but he prefers Europe. Bayern, Dortmund, Monaco, and Arsenal attentive to his situation. Zaha wants at least £6 million plus bounty, not the bounty bar chocolate. Financial, we're talking about financially bounty. And also, Zaha doesn't rule out extending either. Mm-hmm. So he wants to stay in Europe. Top clubs do want him, but it doesn't also rule out staying at Palace. I'm going to be honest with you. This might sound a bit weird, but I can see him staying at Palace. I can. Because even though we've mentioned all them top clubs, I don't know if them top clubs would be willing to pay how much we're willing to pay for Wilf. But if he does stay, do you think that would be the right financial move? And the reason why I'm saying that, I love Zaha and I want him to stay, but I'm just asking to see the other side of things. He's had a few injuries recently, this season anyways. He's reached his, peak age as well. He's in his 30s now. And if we do tie up to a rumored £200,000 a week contract, that could also have downsides to it. So where do you stand with it?
The thing about it is, and the thing I think that if Wilf commits to coming back and we commit to paying him that type of money, I think then the club has to commit to selling some of our young assets in order to bring in more revenue. I mean, because if you stand pat with that type of salary on your books, it's going to be tough. It's going to hamstring us as an organization. We've already seen how frugal in spending we can be when we're a little bit financially tied up. But to take on that type of increase in the salary, I wouldn't be surprised if we had to move a young guy or two with some high value.
Would you be okay with that? Would you be okay with keeping Wilf and moving a young guy or two just to keep him at the club?
That's a tough question, man.
The likes of potentially Eze's or Elise's or even the likes of Mark Gahey's.
Mark Gahey, yeah, because I guess Gahey and Olise were the first two that popped in my head in thinking about that.
It's hard. Man. It is hard. And by the way, we are going to have a video. Fingers crossed. There's going to be a video potentially coming out on Sunday where Palace have actually announced their accounts, full financial details. So we're going to go through it with Tim. I know some of you guys probably know Tim. He's been on the shows. He's going to go through the documents and we're going to talk about it in detail and to see where we are financially as a football club because the latest accounts have been published. But it's looking positive. But we're going to talk about that in more details. Just a little seller right there. So keep your eyes peeled on that. But yeah, so would you be okay with that, T?
In thinking about it, I would say I wouldn't be okay with it. Here's why. I am seeing the way that this club, these players, this squad can perform in the absence of Wilfried Zaha. And it's extremely encouraging to see that these guys can play well in the absence of somebody like a Wilfried Zaha. And I think that with the worry that we just talked about with scouting or acquisitions, however you want to phrase it, are worries that we have when it comes to bringing in the quality of replacement level players to those that we're losing. I think that in keeping Wilf, we set ourselves up possibly for more tough times because of the fact that we may never get the quote. Well, I'm not saying never, but it may take time for us to get back in the necessary requisite quality players that we need to replace the ones that we lost.
Yeah. It's not straightforward. I don't think it's straightforward. I think there's pros and cons to keeping him.
Definitely.
For me personally, I would like him to stay. And if he can somehow make it work without selling younger players, then great. But
absolutely.
We'll have to see, I guess. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But if you guys haven't already done so, let's hit the like button. Let's keep the likes going up. It takes a second of your time. Let's see if we can hit 25 likes before we go off air. We're in 15 right now. We can get another 10 more. I'm pretty sure we can get another 10 more. I've got faith in you lot. Let me move on to the now transfer rumors. Other transfer rumors relating to, not Zaha or Olise. As we mentioned the other day about Divock Origi, Palace are one of those clubs interested in him. But the latest reports that are coming out is that AC Milan are hoping that either Palace or West Ham make a move for Divock Origi this summer, as they want to get rid of him quickly. And that is according to Le Soir. I think that's how you pronounce it. That's not a good look if a club is that desperate to sell a player. But,
because they paid a lot for him, and he's got high wages. I'm gonna say they're paying a lot for him, and he's probably making a high wage.
Yeah, but in that case, we're gonna probably pay a lot for him.
Exactly. They don't care how much. They don't care about that. They care about the fact that they get rid of him and they don't have to pay him anymore. You know what I'm saying? That's what they care about. They just don't. It's just like similar what we just talked about with Wilf, man. If you got a guy that's on your team that's making a lot of money, either by how much he costs you up front or how much he's getting paid, it hamstrings the club. And even for someone like AC Milan, it's like, we have a guy who's making a lot of money but isn't making a lot of appearances for us and isn't bringing a back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he's dead weight for them. It's like we need to get rid of this. So of course, I'm sure they are hard up to try and ship him off just to get somebody, just to get him off their books. So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Well, look. There's another update on Origi. We'll see what happens. AC Milan want to get rid of him. There's a positive to that. If they do want to get rid of him, then I guess financially it should be a bit easier in terms of negotiating the transfer fee. But I think the main concern will most likely be the wages. Especially if he's not delivering there, and like how much are we willing to pay for him? Because we're literally talking about Wilf and selling younger players. I don't want to sell these younger players to bring on Divock Origi. Let's just say that. That's the least of my concerns. Palace 1439 says if Wilf goes, we save at least 6.8 million in wages per year, but we also lose a very good player. Mitch says so. Obviously, we must be thinking about sell then or negotiating. Dropping the sell on wouldn't be worth anything to us. Maybe Wilf didn't want to sign with PV in charge. I personally don't think that's the case. Do you?
I don't know. Maybe. Think about this, and I wonder if this is something that could be the reason why we're seeing this drag out, right? So when we acquired Wilf, there was the sell-on fee with Manchester United.
Yeah, people are talking about it in the chat as well.
Does that have to do with the fact that his contract, as long as he is under that contract that he originally, you know what I'm saying? Because we've been doing extensions with him rather than allowing his contract to expire and then signing him. If we allow his contract to expire and he technically becomes a free agent, and signs a new contract with us, that sell-on clause might not be there anymore. I don't know. I'm just saying. Just a thought.
Just an interesting point. I don't know how that works. I don't know the legalities around that, but interesting point. For me, I don't think it's to do with Vieira. I think it's more to do with if we stay up or not. But
I don't think it has to do with Vieira personally.
I don't know. Even if we was to go down, I'm pretty sure we'll have assurance to Wilf that we'll sell him. But I think it's more to do with relegation than anything. And I think he was genuinely testing the markets. But look, it doesn't mean he's going to stay. As we just mentioned, there's lots of different options for him. He wants to stay in Europe, and the option about him staying at Palace is not over yet. But for me, as it's prolonging, and I'm seeing some of those names there, I just don't think they will spend that much on Wilf on wages, and I feel like it would just come down to us just spending the amount of money, and I think he's going to end up staying because he's an asset to Palace. So so I think he'll end up staying at the club, but we'll see what happens. That was an interesting report, anyways, about Saudi Arabia sought after him as well. Clearly, he doesn't want to go there because if it was all about money, he would go Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, they just trying to throw
I guess
money.
He wants to stay in Europe as well as get paid, and I think he's got that option at Palace, which is the positive. Let's move on to the next player, and this is Max Johnston. West Brom are facing competition from Premier League trio Fulham, Palace, and Burnley for Motherwell youngster Max Johnston. Johnson, he's a Middlesbrough-born Scottish under-21 international. Has made quite the impact this season, following the footsteps of the likes of Kieran Tierney, Aaron Hickey, Calvin Ramsey, and that is according to the Scottish Sun. So he's a fullback, and he's got a few assists this season as well. And we've seen it. We have been clearly we have a decent scout system over in Scotland.
I'm gonna say this sounds very Palace at this point. Going for a young Scottish guy.
Fulham, Burnley, these are teams that also play attacking football. He's still very young. He's only he's only 18 years old, but he's had 10 starts this season for Motherwell, 3 assists and 2 goals, which is decent. It's not bad at all.
This is funny. We obviously have scouts over in Scotland now looking at these young Scottish guys, but then you hear people on Twitter that are complaining about the fact that we don't ever buy white players, we only buy black players. It's like, come on, man, what are y'all looking at, man? What are y'all looking at?
Especially with
Banks, Grehan, Marsh, Phillips, I think it's
good on starting 11. I think that's the thing. I don't know if you saw it as well about Joachim Andersen. There was one game. I think Joachim Andersen was the only white one.
The only one.
Honestly, I don't care if they're white, black, brown. For me, it's as long as I'm not the one to discriminate. I'm not.
Be a good footballer that wants to play.
As long as they can score goals for us or get a save, or save us from relegation.
I could care if my center forward was purple, man. As long as he scored a goal.
Exactly. They can be yellow. It could be the Simpsons. That's what I'm not really bothered about this game. That's the least of my worries when looking at players. But look, an 18-year-old from Motherwell. First time he's been mentioned on the show. So we'll see what happens with that. But interesting. Look, Kieran Tierney and Aaron Hickey, they're decent players. That's also come from them. They've had Premier League careers. So yeah, for the final bit of rumor, that's we'll keep an eye on that anyways, and we'll see if something comes up. With Divock Origi did, but with the majority of these, we only hear it once and we'll move on. So there's no point talking about the player like we're going to sign him. But he's a talented youngster over in Scotland. Now, should we move on to the managers? Because there's a few managers that we could talk about today, and this is combining yesterday's news as well as today's news. So let's start off with yesterday's news, which is on Arne Slot. Crystal Palace have joined West Ham, Tottenham, and Leeds, looking at the Feyenoord boss Arne Slot ahead of the summer, with both clubs looking for a new manager at the end of the season, and that is according to the Times. Slot, who is he? He's 44 years old. He's close to guiding Feyenoord to the title over in Holland, and that would be a brilliant achievement considering the likes of Ajax and their spending power. With 6 games left, Feyenoord are 8 points clear. Now, he rejected Leeds. I remember seeing that he rejected Leeds when they got rid of Marsh, I believe, because he didn't want to be involved in a relegation battle. 44 years old. I think he spent the majority of his time over in Holland, so he doesn't have much experience out of it. Fairly young, but being Ajax over in Holland, that's a great achievement because that at times that they just absolutely control that league. So for you, Arne Slot, 44 years old, he plays some decent attacking football, so he kind of fits our philosophy in that aspect as well. But there are Tottenham that's been mentioned there, and Leeds and West Ham, so the competition will be high. As I said with the likes of Graham Potter, it all goes down to what we want to do as a football club. Can we sell the plan? Can we try to bring in these young upcoming managers? And there's going to be competition for them, rightly so, because they've got they're clearly talented. There's going to be interest in them. But it's on us. And Arne Slot, 44 years old, over in Holland, doing a decent job, about to win the league. It's not Frank de Boer. I don't think he is. I know
he doesn't play that way. He doesn't play the way Frank de Boer did. So I wouldn't call that. He doesn't play the way Frank de Boer did. I think people are just throwing out. Yeah, people just throwing it out there. People just throwing it out there because he's coming from the Netherlands, which isn't fair. It's not fair, bro.
So what do you know about him, T, if anything?
I mean, he plays from what I've seen, because I've tracked him back from his last couple teams. So he's playing right now with Feyenoord. They're playing against Roma right now in the Europa League. Hello. So first of all, he has European football experience playing at a high level. He's showing it. Yep, and they beat him. So for y'all saying for y'all saying all this Frank de Boer 2.0 stuff. I don't think that's a fair assessment. But before that,
he retired. He literally retired like his managerial career in like how many years?
And before that, he was at AZ Alkmaar for a year or two, and they were playing really good football there before he moved on to Feyenoord. He plays a very progressive and attacking style of football out of the 4-3-3. So yeah, it's not total football by any means. He's not playing three at the back. He's not trying to just possess the ball for 90% of the game and dominate the game that way. He plays a very aggressive brand of football. So I don't know. I mean, I like the link for us. I like the fact that, you know, this could be a feasible move for us in terms of making it work. I guess it's a matter of course, selling the project to the coach. The reason why I like it more than some of the other names that we've heard or that you might hear is because this isn't a retread coach. You know what I mean? This isn't a journeyman manager who's been to numerous other clubs and failed or had struggles. You know what I'm saying? This is something like I think I just like the idea more of trying, like you said, trying to find these up and coming coaches that are having success, that have fresh tactical senses and that can invigorate some a breath of life into the club, rather than just going out and getting a retread manager who has been a journeyman, ups and downs, maybe not so great in certain places, and hoping it works out.
Yeah. Look, there's multiple Premier League clubs, but as you said, the football that he plays is decent as well. But there's multiple Premier League clubs that are interested in him, so it won't be easy. But yeah, we'll see what happens. The Times is a reliable source as well, and you know he rejected the Premier League move already, so he wants it to be the right move because otherwise he could be at Leeds right now managing them. Right. And we have to make sure that we sell him and tell him, you know, why this would be the right move for him. You know, over the likes of West Ham or Leeds, and they can have more spending power than us. Well, based on last season, anyways. Unless we. But
you see that spending power means nothing at a place like Leeds. You know what I'm saying? Like, how much you spend. How much you? All I'm saying is how much you spend isn't correlated necessarily to the success of the team.
No, I know. But as a manager, let's say you're a manager and you're going into a new club, you'd want that funds available for you to, you know, rebuild that squad.
I agree.
But we did deliver when Vieira first came in. We did deliver in his first summer. So if you're doing like a similar window, and right now I don't think
he delivered and didn't get money. A lot of these other managers got money first and then didn't deliver. You know what I'm saying? That's a big difference too.
Yeah, it is. But it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there with managers. Because today there's been reports coming out with Michael Carrick. Crystal Palace are also looking for a new manager this summer after reinstating Roy Hodgson until the end of the season. Carrick, they've done their homework on Carrick, and Leicester and West Ham are also interested, and that's according to Team Talk. So Michael Carrick, another player, and not another player, unless he wants to come to our midfield and play midfield, could do probably a decent job even now. Another manager that we're linked with, a manager that we were linked with as soon as Vieira got sacked. It was Company and Carrick that people were talking about straight away. For you, Michael Carrick, look, he hasn't had the most experience as a manager, and of course he's managed at the lower division, but this report is saying the club is doing their homework on him. So it's just more than just a tactics and a short term. Would you, if you had to pick between Arne Slot and Michael Carrick, who would you pick?
Oh, that's actually a really tough one right there, D. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I think that the allure to a guy like Michael Carrick is his relatableness to players, because he's recently retired, so he still has some relatability to current players. He knows the English game. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of allure with that too. You know, he knows the Premiership. He knows what it takes to have success in it. So I think there's a lot there. I don't know. That's a tough one, man.
Let's go in the chat. What you guys think as well? Arne Slot or Michael Carrick? If you had to pick one,
I'm gonna go with Arne Slot. I'll go with Arne Slot for mine. But I am interested to see or hear from the chat on what they how they feel versus Slot versus Carrick.
Yeah, so Tim's saying Slot already. So we got one slot there. For me, it's not easy, is it? um, I don't think. Look, you can't lose out on both of them. Like you can't lose out on either one of them. They offer something a bit different. They're both young managers still in the game,
Mhm.
still learning as well.
Mhm.
And I think Slot is the mysterious one because we don't really know much about him. At least with Michael Carrick, we know about him. Over in his playing days over in England,
Mhm.
Middlesbrough as well. The job he's doing there. Not many people watch Feyenoord as much, whereas with Carrick I guess is the easy option. And with the route that we're going with, we like to pick up championship players. It might be a championship
Mhm.
manager as well.
Could be. Could be.
Yeah. So there's Luke is saying Carrick at least shows fragrance.
I don't know what that means. What is it? What do
Yeah,
you mean
I
by
don't know
that,
what that
Luke?
means.
A
I guess
fragrance?
he smells nice.
Hey,
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe I don't know.
if that's what we're grading, if that's what we're grading managers on, I don't
Yeah.
tend to try to get to other men, that close to other men to know.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
But if he smells nice, he smells nice. But hopefully, hopefully tactics board smells even nicer. Seek says, "Oh, I thought it was Reese." No, sorry, that's just off topic. Paz 1439 says Carrick is a massive risk. Good players can always make good managers, and he has little experience as a manager.
I think that was the same argument that was out there with Vieira.
Yeah, it was. I guess you can make the argument Vieira didn't work out.
Yeah, no.
In the end. So yeah, I don't think there's a straightforward answer, but I think it might be a split between 50-50. But before we wrap up the show, because we spoke about a lot today and it's actually flew by, I've enjoyed it. If you're enjoying the show as well, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, please. Helps us out massively.
Scott Parker looks like he's doused.
Yeah,
in cologne, by the way.
That's a very good point.
He probably smells like a perfume counter.
He probably does smell very good because he keeps his appearance nice.
Too bad the football stinks.
Yeah, but the football stinks. So just if a manager smells nice, it doesn't guarantee success. So only if it works like that. But look, let's move on to a final bit of thing that I saw as well. I just want to bring it forward, and then afterwards we can wrap up the show. It's about a transfer over in Galatasaray. About Victor Nelson. I've actually got him on my Football Manager, funny enough. I just need to find a comment. I'm just trying to find a comment right now whilst multitasking. Here you go. I found it. So Colin says, heard that Nelson has already signed for us. Not too sure as he didn't give details of the deal, but said he'll be joining the summer. As someone who's Turkish, as someone who knows the Turkish media well, don't get sucked into this. There's a reason.
Don't believe that.
There's politics involved with Turkish football. There's reporters that comes from Galatasaray side. There's reporters that come from Fenerbahce side, and there's reporters that are just trying to unsettle the other player. Well, I mean, no one has said that it's ridiculous that this message just come out about he's done, the deal's already signed. Not that we're gonna sign the deal. The deal's signed. He's joining the summer. That's not true. Maybe there might be a bit of links, but it makes no sense in the first place. We've got Joachim Andersen, Mark Gahey. We can even talk, the likes of Chris Richards. Is Victor Nelson really going to join us to be full choice centre back? No. So yeah, the report in Turkey. Don't get
that article was really short. It was very short too.
It was a tweet. It
lacked. Yeah, like it. I mean, if it doesn't have a lot of detail in it, man, more than likely it's probably not true. Let's be honest.
Here's a tweet. Just for your own sake, don't get forward into it. Maybe it does happen, but right now there's any suggestions about Victor Nelson has become a Palace player. I mean, it's a crazy thing to put out there. But yeah, they're just trying to play politics with each other over there, and the funny thing is, they try to unsettle Galatasaray fans and try to trigger them, but they triggered Crystal Palace fans more because after that report came out, people were talking about Mark Gahey. Does this mean Gay's leaving? What's happening with Anderson? So it kind of backfired, and it caused us more of an uproar at Palace rather than Galatasaray, which we're trying to do. So
we're more effective than any of those guys over there.
Yeah, exactly. Let's wrap up with this comment. Palace should sign Brendan Rodgers. We spoke about him before, but for me, out of all the managers that's listed, there was that one report saying that was after Graham Potter, Brendan Rodgers, and also who's the third manager? Adi Hutter. For me, Brendan Rodgers, I think he's a decent manager, but I feel like I would like to go a different route because I've seen enough of Brendan Rodgers to know that at times he does hit a ceiling after a few years. So in the short term, it might be good, but in the long term, raise problems. But he's not a bad manager either. We can't use, even if he was to join.
Bad. He's had success. I mean, you've seen it. He's got it on his CV. He has successes on his CV. I mean, that goes without saying. That's undeniable. So
yeah. But look, we're going to wrap it up now. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And also let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. We spoke about managers, spoke about transfer rumors. So we've got players potentially leaving the club as well. It's been an enjoyable show from me and T. And until next time, actually, before we go, make sure to check out the Southampton match preview. The link is in the comment section. Go check that out. We speak about the game and what it means. We talk about expectations as well. It's interesting. Expectations going into this game. And also whether we should change a starting 11 that just be 5-1, and there's some valid points that's been made. So yeah, make sure to check that out. That's it from me and T, and until next time, up the Palace.